Hi, this is Shu with a review of the New Balance 2A2. This is the general purpose model that they'll provide to stars that they should be making signature shoes for, instead of freaking Kawhi, who never plays in the NBA. AWOL. Yeah, this 2A is pretty interesting. It's better than Kawhi 2 in many ways, I would say. It weighs almost as much as Kawhi 2, but it feels lighter. For a size 9, it weighs about 375 grams. But it feels lighter than what the digits show. First of all, it's way well, they come in 2E width in Korea. For New Balance, make sure you check those width. 2E is wider than single E. I don't know if they have a triple E, but if it says 2E, definitely go down half a size. If you have a really narrow foot and you like a tight one-to-one fit, you can even go down a full size. That's how big and wide it is. But it doesn't have like a crazy dead space in the sufficient space, but not crazy dead space like a lot of crazy Adidas models in the past. The cushioning is supposedly fuel cell all around, but fuel cell, unless it's used in a runner. In basketball shoes like the Kawhis, you don't really feel that much of that cushioning. It's pretty rigid. But the interesting is they brought back an old technology, but you know how Nike sometimes bring back Cushlon or Lulalon and they feel better than React or Zoom X sometimes, depending on the density that's been used to blow the foam up. So they have the Absorb material here. There are 3 different color materials that feels different in terms of density. That triple layer is working in tandem nicely in the heel, but on the forefoot it's just this chunky midsole on the forefoot and it's very low to the ground. So it feels like a typical Kyrie shoes where you don't Kyrie shoes like Kyrie 2s, 3 and 4, where you don't have zoom and turbo but just some zoom in the heel and pretty much nothing on the forefoot, very low to the ground. Overall, it's very low to the ground in the heel. Even though they show you the stacked cushioning, they're very soft, so they flatten almost immediately when you slide your foot inside, and they do a good job of absorbing the shock and providing you with some degree of rebound. But because they scrunch and flatten very quickly and very responsively, you'll feel the shoe is pretty flat and straight. You don't feel that heel to toe drop or offset. That's something necessary, but it can be dangerous to some. So make sure you try the shoe on, move around, and see if it's not going to affect your Achilles heel or provide some kind of a foot injury in the long run, or tendonitis, plantar fasciitis, or whatnot. So the padding is really nicely padded all around. There's nothing that's too intense or heavy, or nothing poking or anything like that. The tongue is also adequately padded. Interesting part in the heel is you have this tab that goes all the way like a I don't know what you call it. It's like those psychiatric treatment where they show 2 dolls with one side with 2 faces. I don't know what they were going for and why this is here. Usually something like this is on the tongue on the front of the shoe, where you can lace the shoe up and then hide the laces inside nicely. But I don't know, if you have a lucky little charm, a BB bullet or whatever you want to put here, then maybe you could keep it there. A little razor blade if you're playing professional wrestling, you need to make some cuts and pretend like you're bleeding. I don't know. The heel plasticky bit is there, and it's got a nice decent heel cups to provide a level of stability. The base is pretty wide, so it works as a gimmick that provides some stability. There's no prominent outrigger, but it's wide enough and the shoe is low enough to make sure there's ankle stability and anti-inversion protection there. The traction, as you can see, the pattern is very similar to what we've seen in the Kobe 9s, and when you see those map mountain height contour pattern there, it's always good, and this is very good. The best New Balance basketball shoe traction ever. I would say the best traction we've had this season so far. So this is good. They're on the right track. So yeah, that's pretty much it, except one more thing that I might want to emphasize, that the Ortholite insole is awesome. Look how thick this is, but at the same time it's not like crazy soft and spongy like some of the crappy Nike insoles that we get these days. They're just sponge. They just gets flattened almost immediately. The density here is pretty nice and springy. So once again, if you try the shoe on, try to remove the insole and put your foot in and then see if the cushioning is adequate for you on the forefoot, because at least on the forefoot the cushioning is about 60% thanks to the insole. So yeah, it's very low to the ground, not as bad as the Kyrie 2, 3s, and 4s, but almost close to that in terms of how little impact protection it provides. But it's low to the ground, but it's a minimal amount of cushioning to prevent you from getting crazy blisters. Of course, the insole complements it nicely. For this insole, if you can get another insole like that, I would recommend getting something like this with this much density and thickness in shoes like the Zion 2, which I thought was probably one of the best shoes that we've had this year. The Zion 2 have this issue of having the zoom area here. You can feel like it's unlocked zoom on your foot, but then around the toe area, you just feel the outsole and the floor. Basically, zero minimal padding around. So you need something like this to protect your toes from, feeling the ground too much for models like Zion 2, because the given insole there is like spongy and useless. Yeah, pretty much it. The price point is pretty good. It's like slightly over $100, I think. And the strange thing in Korea is that because this has got some good reviews, and I think New Balance didn't bring in as many as they should, because they assume that their shoes don't sell as well. They're not as hot as the Nikes. But that's where they were wrong. This is very highly in demand in Korea, and it's always selling out whenever they release new colorways. But hey, the first colorways are sold out doesn't mean you should go and pay an arm and a leg to get it off the black market, or through other sellers who are selling it for profit, or to other shops that are ripping you off. Don't pay over $100 for these shoes. They're not worth it. They're very good shoes considering the price point. Considering New Balance is pretty new to the game. But if you were to compare with other shoes from last season that's on sale with better cushioning, this is definitely not the, what Soundwave would say, two-way superior, other shoes inferior. No, that's not the case. It's just a good shoe for that price point. And if you wait around, they're gonna come up with crazy 1001 zany colorways, and they will go on sale. So play the patience game, play the stakeout game. Don't go crazy. You don't pay anything over retail for this. The New Balance N, I thought, because the first time I saw the shoe, the pictures that were released was Zach LaVine wearing this, and I guess he was kind of tilting it some way, and I thought this was a Z, so for Zach LaVine, but no, it was just New Balance N. Oh, and the upper material, they always say it's like some high-tech fit weave whatnot. No, it just feels like, it feels like supposedly more breathable fused material, plasticky, but it's not as breathable because they have another layer underneath that's pretty thick, neoprene layer, so it's not breathable. It's just as suffocating as, not as suffocating as the Fompus is, but close.